Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in their video today. And man, it is time. And it literally is today because it is 1 a.m. So that means it is time for the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is today. And man, I'm so excited for this game. The Chiefs versus the Eagles. And we're here for, game predictions, how I think this game's going to go down. I'm not going to go over injuries or any sort of that thing. But I did hear yesterday on the NFL Live show that both teams are fully healthy, so that's a good sign. Games at 5:30. Definitely going to be a really fun matchup between two really good offenses, two really good defenses. It's going to, be interesting to see how these two teams, adapt, because the Chiefs have a great defense. Eagles definitely have a really good defense. And also the Chiefs defense with Chris Jones and Frank Clark, they have a really good defense as well. Have a decent secondary. But so in that case, I think it's going to be a really good game. And let's start going over some things. So Mahomes in his last Super Bowl, right, against the Bucs. And I've heard Kelsey talk about it on his broadcast with, surprisingly, Eagles center Jason Kelsey, his brother, about, how they got their ass kicked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the last Super Bowl they were in a couple years ago. He was talking about that's the best team I've ever faced, and I'm glad I don't have to face them again. But, I was just thinking about it, and that was, and just thinking about how good of a defense that Bucs team was a couple years ago. And I think, I'm not going to say that this Eagles defense this year is better or as good, but this Eagles defense they don't mess around. I mean, players like Hassan Reddick, Fletcher Cox, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's a really good player and will trash talk as well, James Bradbury, Darius Slay. Their secondary is amazing. Their defensive line's amazing. They have good linebackers. They're easily one of the best defenses in the NFL. I think besides the Cowboys and the 49ers, the Cowboys, the 49ers, and the Eagles are the best defenses in the NFL, no doubt. And I was thinking the Eagles were top two, and I was leaning toward the 49ers being at one. And I honestly, I think after, them losing to Miko Ryans, and I think, some defense, they'll also lose some defensive players in free agency. I think next season, this Eagles defense will become the best defense in the NFL going into the next season. I think with the 49ers loss of DeMeco Ryans, the Houston Texans, my favorite team, their new head coach, also some players will follow him here. So in that case, I think the 49ers defense will get a little bit worse, and I think the Eagles defense will get better, especially with some good draft picks. So, yeah, moving on from, talking about defenses, but I just feel like, the last time the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl, we saw them, we saw them struggle. I was the worst performance I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes play. But at the same time, he was without three offensive linemen starters, and he was facing off against the best defensive line in football, and probably at the time was the best defense in football. So in that case, I don't blame Mahomes. That wasn't his fault. That was just, they were bringing him. It felt like every single play they were coming after him, and the O-line couldn't deal with it. They were without three starters in their O-line, and that was just an awful performance as a team. But against the Eagles team, they got power all around, from the run game to the defense to the quarterback with Jalen Hurts to their star wide receivers, and it just the list of players they got is just incredible. But let's get to my prediction. Who's key factors in this game? And honestly, I think a key factor is Devontae Smith for the Eagles. I think he's going to have a big game in this one. I think A.J. Brown could do some decent things, but A.J. Brown, Snead's going to be guarding him. Snead's a really good cornerback. But Devontae Smith on the other side will be guarded by two rookies. So in that case, I think Devontae has a fair matchup. So I think Devontae should be set for a big game. Miles Sanders, I think he has a huge running game in this one. I think with Jalen Hurts still, we don't even know if Jalen Hurts is still 100%. I think that, because it being the Super Bowl and, them witnessing what happened in the NFC Championship with the 49ers quarterback situation, I think we're going to see Jalen Hurts be a little less aggressive with the run, with himself. So in that case, I think that means more takes to Miles Sanders. I think he's going to be getting the ball more. I'm calling it that he's going to average. He's going to get more than 70 yards in this game. I think he'll score a touchdown in this one as well. I think he's really huge for the Eagles. Both fast-paced offenses in this one. I think this game comes down to the last play. I think Juju's big on the Chiefs side. I think Chris Jones and Frank Clark are going to be huge on the Chiefs side as well. I think they'll bring pressure to Jalen Hurts and try to get him because they know he's a little banged up as well. But at the same time, that Eagles O-line is strong, so they need to watch out for Chris Jones and Frank Clark for sure. But like I said, I think Devontae has a big game. I think Sanders has a big game. I'm not doubting that AJ will have a big game. I think definitely Jalen will take a couple shots to him down the field because, like I said, this is two fast-paced offensive teams. Mahomes can score so quick, so I think definitely Hurts will take a couple tries to AJ Brown down the field. Down the field for the tutty. But the question will be if AJ will be able to get it because AJ struggled a little bit in these playoffs in their 2 games. So, and Devontae's been really good. So I just, Devontae matching up against some rookies, I think that Devontae will be the main target for the Eagles. I think Jalen will still be aggressive on the run, but I think he'll be a little careful. Just speaking of, because he's not, 100%. We've seen him be aggressive in the past 2 rounds, but this is the Super Bowl. This is all the marbles. So, yeah, I think Kelce has a big game as well. I don't know who's gonna have a bigger game. Probably Kelce will have a bigger game than Juju. Definitely Mahomes will throw to his running backs a lot. That's something he does with Pacheco, and what's the other guy's name? McKinney, I think. Definitely throws to his running backs a lot. But like I said, I think this is going to be a high-pace offensive game, back and forth. And honestly, I think, in my honest opinion, I think the last play will come. I think the game will come down to the last play. And getting into my prediction, I think that's on a field goal. And I'm going to go, and this is hard for me, but it's really hard because I like both teams. I want to see, at the same time, I mainly want the Eagles to win, but at the same time, if the Eagles lose, I'm not going to be upset. And I kind of want to see the Chiefs win too. So yeah, I'd like to see Mahomes win a second Super Bowl, but at the same time, I think the Eagles, in my opinion, they've had the best record in football this season, but it's kind of felt like they've been the underdogs all season. Because yes, they've had the best record, but people have made fun of, their schedule and how they got into the playoffs. But to me, that doesn't matter. Yes, they've had arguably the best schedule in the NFL this season, in the regular season. Had probably the easiest path to get to the Super Bowl, facing a Giants team who's not that great and a 49ers team that happened to be without a quarterback and had their running back throwing the football. But at the same time, I think this team is stacked. Jalen Hurts is a stud. They have 2 of the finest wide receivers in the NFL, obviously, and I really think that these Eagles they're not somebody to mess with. Yes, they had the easiest schedule in the NFL and the easiest path to get to this Super Bowl, but that doesn't mean they're not a good team because I think that the Eagles, and I'm sorry to some 49ers fans if you watch me, but the Eagles would have won that game if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt. Or whether it was Josh Johnson or Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt, the Eagles still win that game. So, yeah, I think that the Eagles, they're not to mess with, and I think that they win this game. And I'm predicting that it comes down to a field goal, last play. I got the Eagles winning this one 34-31. I think a lot of touchdowns are scored. high pace, like I said. And I think the Eagles end this one and win another Super Bowl. The last time they won, they won Super Bowl 52 or Super Bowl 57. So they win their first Super Bowl since 5 years. Chiefs would lose their third Super Bowl in 3 years. Or sorry, they lose their second Super Bowl in like 3 or 4 years. Yeah, 3 years. They lose their second Super Bowl in 3 years. Be a tough loss for the Chiefs. It's interesting to see how long Travis Kelce wouldn't talk to Jason Kelce. All jokes, but I definitely think it's gonna be a great game. And honestly, with their offenses and how good of offense and defense both squads have, I honestly think this game is gonna come down to whoever has the ball last. If Mahomes has the ball last, the Chiefs are going to win. If Jalen Hurts has the ball last, the Eagles are going to win. If someone has the ball left with 2 minutes, and it's tied, or they're even down by like 1 or 2 with a field goal, only needing a field goal left, they're going to win the game. That's how good of offense these two teams are. And honestly, it'd probably be harder for the Chiefs, even though how great Mahomes is. That Eagles defense could probably get a stop. But I do think it's going to come down to who has the ball last. And it's not going to be a high. I mean, yes, it's going to be a high scoring game. But what I'm trying to say is it's not. I don't think it's going to be, a game where last year I would say it sort of came down in the last play. Like last year, it was like a 4th down and Joe Burrow threw an incompletion, but it wasn't as exciting as like a game winning field goal would be. So, yeah, I think that this Super Bowl is going to, in my opinion, I think the Super Bowl is going to be one of the most exciting games we've had in a while. I mean, think about it's been a couple of rough Super Bowls, I mean, last year was all right. It wasn't the best. I mean, I just didn't, I didn't enjoy it that much. I mean, I liked it. It was a good game. It was a decent game. I don't know, it just wasn't that great a game. The year before, Chiefs got their ass kicked. There was only like 40 points scored, and the Bucs won by like 22. Or like, no, not 22. They won by like, 20. They won by like 20. Yeah, they won exactly 22, 31-9. Year before, Chiefs won by like 11. I would actually say the last really good Super Bowl probably is the last one the Eagles were in. We're in 2017-18 when they played the Patriots and won like 41-33. But, so yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. I definitely think this is going to be the best Super Bowl in a while. But that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know your thoughts. And I'm excited for the Super Bowl. Everybody enjoy the Super Bowl. Have a good time with your family and friends. This is one of the days of the year besides I think Thanksgiving and Christmas that you get to eat all you want and not really get in trouble about it. But you guys let me know your thoughts on the game. Give me your prediction. And tomorrow we find out who's the winner of it all, the Chiefs or the Eagles. You guys tell me who's going to win. Peace out.